inadvertent errors or rectify inconsistent incoherent zoning in Goa Regional Plan 2021. As reported by Indian Express on July 25, 23, an application from six-time BJP MP from North Goa was received for reasoning and of 4,225 square meter of orchard and natural cover the settlement of Panaline village and Toswadi Tulaka. Of the application was corrected in notifying in the official gazette on February 15, 2024. In a press statement, Naik said on Friday, upon the advice of my family, friend, well wishers, and respecting the sentiments of my Goan brother and sisters, and in the larger public interest, I have decided to withdraw my application and surrendered and approved granted to me for my property for change of zone to settlement of any kind of illegalities are found and brought to my notice. I am ready to withdraw an application even provision under 17 to the TCP Act, which was passed by the state government is found illegal or any discrepancy is found in the procedure, it is up to the state government to verify whether the provision 17.2 of TCP Act is state's interest or not. In his note, Naik recalled that the property was acquired and owned by his family over 20 years. Property was gifted to my beloved deceased wife by her family. I have declared ownership over the said property in every election affidavit of mine. The same is also submitted to the Prime Minister office every year in the form of annual report. After the sad demise of my beloved wife in January 2021, me and my family wished to devote a property and public purpose in her name for community purposes. So when his wife was expressed wish was expressed before my party colleagues, I was informed about a new law introduced by the state government, and they suggested me to apply under it for getting zone changed in Orchard to settlement. He wrote, it is important to note that my application was forwarded to the TCP Department Government of Goa as per normal procedure prescribed in the rule. Further, through the routine process, my application got approved. The entire procedure took 8 months each, which is clearly indicative a transparent process followed, and I have not made any undue advantage of my position. I have followed all the laws laid down by the state government and paid all the fees as levied upon the get and approval. So I have done nothing in violations of law or with malfied intentions. I have never been embroiled and in any scam or controversy in my entire public life, and I do not intend to get involved in any now, not even by mistake, he wrote. When contacted by Indian Express, Naik said regarding this plot, I have followed all the laws and regulations. If the state government decide to cancel this provision, I am ready to withdraw the application of any illegalities is found brought to my notice. This is a statement. In his statement, Naik referred to what he called the Indian Express unbiased investigation without any fear of anyone or any sort of evidence. That is, our government believe in press freedom and will never intervene, leave alone suppress the media and their functioning. High targets can help cut CO2 emission from transport sector up to 71% by 2050. Carbon dioxide emission from India's transport sector could be reduced up to 71% by 2050 if high ambition strategies are adopted on three key parameters: electrification, improving fuel economy standard, and switching to cleaner modes of transport and mobility, said a new study by WRI, World Resources Institute. India's transport sector accounted for 14% of the energy-related CO2 emission in 2020, and there is a need of an emission drop roadmap on targets for the sector. The study said the study note that following a high emission reduction target to transport sector would be also pivotal achieving India's net zero target by 2070. The study findings are based on the energy policy simulator, which allows user to develop dynamic models for the different decarbonization target of their outcomes. In addition to the simul- simulation simulation inputs were also collected from expert stakeholder consultation, implementing fuel economy electrification of model shift strategies simultaneously at their highest ambition level result in 71% dip in CO2 emission. The fossil fuel consumption by 2050 compared to BAU business standard as usual scenario, it said. Subrata Chakrabarti, as author of Study Association Program Director at WRI India, said the decarboning India's transport sector can be achieved by implementing least cost policies. The simulation suggested that shifting to low carbon transport for freight the passenger segment is the most cost effective policy in the long term, with estimate saving a rupees 12,118 per carbon dioxide ton equivalent abated. Chakrabarti said the mandate of expenditure e-vehicle of expanding e-vehicle sales is most effective in the term of carbon dioxide emission drop with an annual abatement potential to 1 metric ton carbon dioxide metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. The study further said the decarbonization of electricity generation could complement the electrification target in the transport sector. Implementing an additional policy with a carbon-free electricity standard where 75% of power is sourced from renewables results in a 75% reduction by 2050 compared to BAU values, it stated. However, in BAU scenario is followed, the country's transport sector will still be largely reliant on fossil fuels until 2050. The study noted the transport sector accounted for 14% of total energy related to carbon dioxide emission 2020, 90% of which was driven by road transport, which remains the most carbon intensive. Out of this 90% two wheelers contributed about 60%, cars 25%, buses 9%, freight light duty vehicles 8%, and freight heavy duty vehicles 45%. The highest, the study said, railways, aviation and waterways contributed 6%, 3% and 1% of energy consumption respectively. IIC proposes human brain inspired computing platform to boost AI tool. In a path-breaking technological progress in the field of AI, a group of researchers from Indian Institute of Science (IISc) has developed an analog computing platform with molecular film which is able to mimic human brain-like functioning. The Bangalore-based researchers working at Center Nanosciences and Engineering at IISc said that brain on the chip design, even though it is analogs, could perform function like processing and data storage, which should close resemble to that of human brain, and more importantly of the offer 16500 conductor states within the molecular film. For comparison, the existing digital computing platform need to be programmed, and the operators on the binary states on 0 to 1. They can also bulky also be bulky on energy and time consumption, thus offering the reduced speed in comparison to the estimated AI-based calculation speed with this platform. This could revolutionize, shatter the glass ceiling overall AI capabilities present today. The new platform, researchers said, offer flexibility and easy deployability. The AI-based task into one's personal electronic gadgets like smartphones, laptop, and desktops. It would be also significantly find use in computing applications in machine learning and scientific computing. The IISc team on their work, which addressed some of the processing gaps in the present day neuromorphic following human brain like computing techniques operations, unlike the energy heavy operability in the digital platform used in extensive computing purpose, which is molecular film, permitted researcher to track phi iconic movement, which is widened the memory pathways. The latest paper published in Nature also describe how kinetic controls were stabilized over the molecular transit, enabling almost all quintessential neuromorphic traits in a single circuit's elements. The researcher applied time voltage pulses and managed to trace large number of molecular movement and map each of them distinct electrical signal, forming the extensive molecular diary of different states. Due to free iconic movement, countless unique memory states and pathways were generated. Such intermediary states had remained inaccessible so for as most digital device are only able to access to either high and low conductance states. The platform allowed us to control molecular kinetics very precisely inside our electronic circuits powered by nanosecond voltage pulses, said the Shirbrata Goswami from CENSE. On the realm of AI, several milestones of neuromorphic computing, like edge training, deployment in advanced models, could be unlocked. Several these endeavors are currently being pursued of IISc. This is completely indigenous effort within discovery challenges of neuromorphic computing stand addressed. Shirbrata Goswami, visiting professor at the CENSE, said. Calling out the parrot. In his bail verdict, Justice Ujjwal Bhuyan's criticism of CBI strike mini court should be heard by those who pull it at agency string. In a series of welcome ruling recently, the Supreme Court has upheld a principle on bail as rule and jail as exception, while underlining a sacrosanct nature of individual right is to personal liberty guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution, and emphasizing that the process of justice must guarded against turning into the punishment. The recasting of other reassertion of principled bail in jurisprudence by the court is reassuring. This is especially so given that it seemed to have taken an unfortunate step back from it for a period coinciding with a domineering executive weaponing its control of central agencies to selectively and disproportionately target the political opponent. The apex court order Friday caps and relief granted to AAP, whose top leadership has languished for a long in jail. A little over a month after Deputy Manish Sisodiya was granted bail, Delhi chief government had framed and implemented the 2021-22 excise rolled back subsequently to enhance profit margins of liquor manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers. As part of liquor pro quo, the Supreme Court order allows AAP leaders to breathe freely again, but it is heartening most of all because it asks important question about the state's power to arrest in an individual, lays down necessity of due process and fairness. The emphasis the role of the courts in ensuring and investigations are not used in tool harassments. Deprivation of liberty even for a single day is one day too many, says the separate judgment by Justice Ujjwal Bhuyan. On the two judges on the benches, Justice Bhuyan agrees with Justice Suryakant's conclusion. The Kejriwal be given bail on a case that shows no sign of early closure, but he goes further in a tone resonant with legal acumen and moral clarity. He also interrogates the necessity of timing and arrest in the in the first place. He points to sequence that is incriminating for the agencies whose responsibility is it to take forward the justice process. The CBI registered the case against Kejriwal August 2022, filed for charge sheet, named 17 as accused, did not name Kejriwal. Only when specific judge granted regular bail to Kejriwal in the ED case. Nearly 2 years later, that the CBI activated its machinery and took the appellant into custody. Even on the date of his arrest by the CBI, Justice Bhuyan point out Kejriwal had not been named as an accused. Such as actions on the part of CBI raises a serious mark on the arrest itself, says a judge in system governed by rule of law. Justice Bhuyan draws a vital distinction. Power of arrest is one thing, but the needed of arrest altogether are different things. Justice Bhuyan's judgment interrogates the range of systematic delays in investigations, and he does not spare the institution he belongs to. He points to higher court lobbing the ball to lower courts as to the courts playing safe on ball, but his judgment is a strong indictment most of all of the CBI. It is important that the CBI dispel is notion or it being cased parrot. The perception should be that of an unchanged parrot, India's premier investigative agency, that and those who pull its string must heed the court, because as the judge has underlined, the concept of fair investigation as fair trial are inextricable from the essential to the just balance between the expansive powers and state citizen rights assured the protected by the constitution. Kejriwal got bail. The prosecution is in the dock. Verdict is limited relief. In Arvind Kejriwal case, Supreme Court had asked trial and high courts to be alerted to need to protect personal liberty. Court judgment in India tend to hide reality behind the dense foliage of legal terms and formal words, so it comes to refreshing surprise to read Justice Ujjwal Bhuyan's party concurring judgment granting bail to Arvind Kejriwal in the exercise policy in case of holding his arrest by Central Bureau of Investigation (CBI) to be illegal. Justice Bhuyan cuts through the CBI's argument and said, "What is the plan of daylight to an impartial observer? Kejriwal was asserted and kept in jail by the CBI, ensure he does not get the benefit of bail and enforcement directorate case of exercise policy matter." The other judge of the bench, Justice Suryakant, other judges on the bench, Justice Suryakant agrees the bail should be granted, but disagrees on the correctness of arrest. Justice Bhuyan's judgment is more noteworthy for two reasons. The illegality of Kejriwal's arrest and the CBI attempt to use procedure as punishment is saying so. Justice Bhuyan swims against the tide tied in refusing the succumb to a certain malaise that has gripped a section of India's judiciary. A preference for towing the government's line high-profile criminal case on these two issues, also questioning the restrictive bail conditions imposed on Kejriwal. Justice Bhuyan has Justice B. Nagaratna did the Bilkis Bano case quite called out his colleagues for their lack of prompt and judicious action civil rights issue. Justice Kant and Bhuyan does not agree on the law applicable of Kejriwal's arrest. They just differ how deeply they should look at the CBI's justification for such arrest. Justice Kant is satisfied with the CBI's explanations to why Kejriwal's arrest was needed. His judgment simply lays out the justification offered by CBI, who commenting on whether they were adequate. Justice Bhuyan, however, goes into depth in adequacy of the reason of and find that CBI's justification for arresting Kejriwal was apart or even little bit of scrutiny. The CBI that Kejriwal's arrest was necessary because he gave evasive replies and was not cooperating with the investigation. These are fairly bland and generic grounds on to tell nothing about why it was necessary to arrest Kejriwal, a man who had been Tihar jail for 22 months almost as soon as he got bail in the ED case. Justice Bhuyan is unafraid to call a spade and spade here, pointing out that it seems as if CBI just wanted to make sure Kejriwal did not get the benefit of bail. And in the ED case, Justice Bhuyan's point out that denying bail or arresting someone just because they don't give the answer the investigating agency are looking for the potential violation of Article 20 subclause 3 of the Constitution, which is point having right against self-incrimination, and accused can be simply kept in jail till she confess to her crimes. This would effectively punish someone without clear finding of guilt. Now, while the judgment does not say so many terms, it does not highlighting the need of reconsider a long-standing problematic 11 judges bench Supreme Court judgment in the state v Kachi Kalu Oghad. Here, the Supreme Court gave a very narrow interpretation to the right of self-incrimination, holding that right was not available at the pre-trial stage, that is during custodial investigation. Since 1980, successive Supreme Court judgments have slowly whittled away at the judgment, expanding the right against self-incrimination. It is perhaps time for court once and all clear the confusion about the scope of 23. A clear judgment outlining the exact scope of right against self-incrimination is still needed. The use of procedure as punished by investigating agencies is well known in India in cost of free use, technicalities, and sometime blatant illegalities to make accused sitting in jail run from court to court for bail. CBI attempted something similar here by arguing before the Supreme Court that since a charge sheet had been filed against Kejriwal, he should be made to go back for the trial court to seek bail afresh. The CBI claimed preposterously that the Supreme Court not sending the matter back to the trial court would demoralize the High Court judge who had denied bail to Kejriwal on this ground. Both judges would have none of it, pointing out waste the court's time and the assault of liberty, such as move would represent more so on the case. Since Delhi High Court had already heard elaborate the arguments before denying bail. Justice Bhuyan is especially critical of the Delhi High Court or having asked Kejriwal to approach the trial court once again for the bail after having heard elaborate arguments on the merit of matter. He reiterated the need of trial courts of High Court to be alert to the need to protect personal liberty, highlighting the unfortunate trend also be mourned by the colleague Justice B.R. Gawai. The trial court high court judges simply denying the bail of accused in the high profile cases, whether it is legally larger issue on which Supreme Court judicial orders cannot solve. It is not great win for justice. The Supreme Court granted bail in the criminal matter. It is just be source limited relief at the worst, evidence of completely dysfunctional criminal justice system. Judgments such as Justice Bhuyan's statement inadvertently reveal what is broken in the criminal justice system. The judiciary, his judgment adds to the small growing chorus. Supreme Court over courts simply abandoning the constitutional duties either out of fear or favor. Judges seem to be under the impression that is safer simply deny bail to the government's line in criminal cases. The writer is co-founder with the Center of Legal Policy.